A massive weather pattern change from warm to cold is coming, and this is also going to bring some big time winter storms. Here's what to expect for your area. The first thing we're going to talk about is the temperatures, and we are seeing many transitions between warm to cold, back to warm, back to cold. We're already seeing that right now with a lot of a mix between cold and warm temperatures already happening. It's been really, really warm and very, very abnormally warm across much of the U.S. for the start of January, but that's going to change significantly. We're going to see a little bit of coolness come into parts of the southeast. That's definitely going to bring some beneficial cold weather that's going to be different from this warm we're seeing across parts of the southeast, including South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi on Monday. But then that's quickly going to be brought down by a huge area of warmth on Monday and Tuesday across much of the central, eastern, basically the entire U.S. seeing warmth on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Now that's going to be brought down right away. So we're going to see a huge area of coldness come through here on Wednesday and Thursday. That's going to bring some really, really below average temperatures to parts of the central and eastern part of the U.S. It's really going to feel a lot more like January and a lot more like winter in these regions. It's going to be very, very cold across much of the U.S. on Thursday, and that's going to continue for a long, long time, and it's looking like we're really, really going to get into this pattern of cold temperatures. Once we get into this weekend, it's going to get really, really cold again across the central and eastern U.S. with extreme below average temperatures on Sunday across much of these areas, so it's going to feel very, very cold, more like January, and that shows it's going to continue for a long, long time. The GFS has it going back to warm for some areas and then right back to cold again. So really in that pattern between warm, cold, but we're going to be seeing a lot more of that cold than we were seeing back then, and especially in areas in the Northeast are going to be seeing a ton of cold across the next few days or so. So Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to get really cold, and then it might warm up a little more again, and it's going to get cold again this upcoming weekend. So a lot of changes to the weather are coming, but the sad thing is the west part of the U.S., the western areas in Colorado, Utah, Nevada, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Oregon, Idaho, and Wyoming areas are just going to be in warmth for a long, long time, just constant warmth and above average temperatures. That doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. And the Climate Prediction Center is definitely hitting that at this massive pattern change, showing this flip from above average to below average temperatures across much of the central and eastern U.S., seeing a lot of cool weather across the northeast, the southeast, and the midwestern areas of the U.S. during the 6 to 10 day outlook. It's going to be a great split right at the middle of the U.S. between warmth and cold. But this is going to mean that the western part of the U.S. is going to be in some really, really hefty above average temperatures that won't help for mountain areas, for ski areas. This is not looking good, and for areas that just really don't need warmth. So it's going to be very, very warm across much of these areas, including the west coast and western parts of the U.S., and that's going to continue for a long, long time. In these areas, even the 3 to 4 week outlook going into the start of February is showing this huge area of above average temperatures in the western U.S., but then that below average temperatures that are going to be consistent across the northeast and central U.S. Due to this massive flip from warm to cold, we're also going to be seeing increased winter storm potentials, and the first one is already starting to show on much of the models, including the GFS ensemble, which is showing this area of a potential winter storm, including parts of areas pretty far south in the Appalachian Mountains, seeing some consistent snow in parts of western or eastern Kentucky, areas like Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and the Smoky Mountains, and areas in West Virginia with a pretty strong snow signal here only on Thursday across much of these areas, and maybe even some snow getting into northern Georgia, northern Alabama, and parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. It's not going to be a huge impact snowstorm with a ton of snow for these regions, but maybe a dusting to an inch of snow, and it's definitely showing that signal going into parts of the northeastern part of the U.S. with 1 to 2 inches of snow on the table there too. Now, we really don't know the magnitude of this system. The models are all really, really different. We do know there's going to be a storm, but the GFS is showing a lot stronger of a signal than the Euro. This could be a very weak storm, or it could be a strong storm. I'm leaning towards a weaker storm right now than what was showing earlier, due to the models being a lot less consistent and showing more of a weaker storm system than they were. If we look at the Euro ensemble, it's definitely showing that weaker signal with not much of any snow across these more south regions like Tennessee, Alabama, northern Georgia, into North Carolina regions. but it is showing that storm signal, sorry, in parts of the northeast that is kind of being shown there, but still not a very strong signal, but definitely something we are watching. There's definitely a good sign that we'll see a storm. We just don't know the magnitude of it. The Euro also shows another storm system coming through here on Friday too across parts of the Midwest, but it's really a lot of uncertainties right now. All this shows is that we're going to be more into a pattern of more storm systems and potentially winter storm potential, because that's definitely something that a lot of snow lovers are wanting right now. Overall, the weather is very quiet right now once we see this pattern change that's already ongoing currently, so it's going to be pretty quiet across the next few days across much of the U.S. with barely any storm systems or any even rain or snow whatsoever here, but that's going to change significantly. So we'll see this quiet weather pattern all the way through Thursday, and then that will change once we get to Thursday and into the weeks ahead. That is definitely going to be more of a winter storm signal that I'm definitely excited for. Alright, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. We are seeing this massive pattern flip from warm to cold across the eastern U.S., and then it's going to stay in some very above average temperatures across much of the western U.S. That's probably not going to end anytime soon, but this massive pattern change to cold across the eastern, central, and southeastern part of the U.S. is going to bring new changes to potential winter storms that could be possible, but it's still very uncertain of what could potentially happen. There wasn't much to talk about because these storm signals are really not that strong, and there's not much storms going on right now, but big changes are coming soon. Thanks for watching, guys.